All right, let's move on and talk about frequency tables. Okay, first of all, so what's a table? So a table is a rectangular grid of rows and columns. So rows are horizontal, they go from left to right. Columns go up and down. All right, so here we've got a column and here's a column. Um, Rows go horizontal like that. The first column is typically a category. So categories contain qualitative data. So you might think of that as like a label, okay? Hair colors, blood groups, age range, things like that. So here are some examples of the first column of a frequency table. So, here, these are clearly labels, all right? Um, but these other two, these are not labels. I mean, these are numerical values, right? An age of 18 years, 19 years, 20 years. I mean, those are clear numbers. Um, but this might be, let's see here. Maybe the next column over could be something like the number of speeding tickets, something like that. And so an 18-year-old, might have six speeding tickets, a 19-year-old, five, a 20-year-old, five, and so on. So you've got quantitative data, here in the second column, right? This is quantitative, and, which is some kind of measured amount. And so this 18-year-old, this number 18 is being used more as a category and not so much as like an observational data. Okay. Um, so that's kind of the distinction there. And instead of having like a singular age, you could have an age range. Okay. So what you're kind of defining here in the first column, is some kind of category or some kind of grouping. All right. That's kind of what you're trying to accomplish here with the first column. Now, every column that follows after that could be some kind of quantitative data. I was going to say quantifiable. Quantif I don't know why I can't say it right now. Quantitative data. And one type of quantitative data is going to be recording the frequency. So, what is frequency? Frequency is the number of times a value of a category occurs. So, the number of times that would be like counting, for example. So, if you were to um, maybe if a professor at a university, had a lecture hall full of students, so a lecture hall could maybe have 100 students in that lecture hall in that room, and you counted, the number of students that had black hair, then that count would be 15. Well, that's a frequency of 15 for the black hair color. Then if you counted the number of students that had blonde hair, that would be maybe 14. So that's a frequency of 14 for the blonde hair color. The frequency for brown hair color is 21. Okay, so you usually have, a category column, such as hair color, followed by quantitative data, which would be frequency. And that column would be right next to it. Um, so you could also have what's called grouped data or interval frequency distribution table. So this first column is an age, but here you've got intervals of age ranges. So it's anyone with an age between 18 to 27. That would go in the first column. And then people in the age range 28 to 37. That would go in the second column. All right, we call that a grouped frequency distribution table, or depending on your source, they call it an interval frequency distribution table. When it comes to making graphs of frequency distribution tables, pie charts and bar charts work well for frequency data sets. So here we've got a frequency data set for, that could be expressed as both a pie chart or a bar chart. Frequency counts can get quite large. So for example, 197,392,642 or 50,736,244. And so with large datums such as these, they're kind of hard to fit on pie charts, pie chart wedges. So bar charts work better for really large numbers. So here's an example of a bar chart. And this is taken from United States Census data in 2010 for the population of the top 7 ethnicities in the United States. So you can see we've got our categorical column: white, Hispanic, Black, Asian, multiracial, American Indian, and Pacific Islander. And for each of these categories, okay, we have a frequency that goes with it. So the population of the white ethnicity would be 197,392,642. For Hispanic, it's 50,736,244. For Black, it's 38,014,561. Asian, it's 14,765,670. Multiracial, 5,649,471. American Indian, 2,268,551. And Pacific Islander, 500,004. So you can see with a bar chart, you have plenty of space to kind of put these really large numbers in it, and it works. So pie charts and bar charts work really well for this type of data if you want to graph it. Okay, so that's just the briefest here of introductions of a frequency table and what we mean by frequency. Frequency is one of the columns here. And this is an example of how you can best express one. You'll see more of this moving forward. All right, let me know if you have any questions.